I fear this microphone is going to be a problem. But I'll do the best I can with what I got. And hopefully it won't be that big of an issue at all. Is the music going to restart? Seems like I probably ought to be using the headset, the headphone microphone, if I can find it. I've cleaned up a bunch of stuff, so I'm not sure 100% where it's at. Not sure 100% where it's at because I've cleaned up. It's probably on my desk. Of all the dumb places to put something, right? Put it on my desk. Yep, there it is. The headset positions the microphone closer to my mouth, which is very important because that's where words come out of. Testing. Oh, that's much better. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that is so much better. Oh my goodness, so much better. Why did the music stop? It's supposed to be on the loop. It's not set up on the loop. Now it is. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages. Hey, Paul Doomcat, already in the house. Cheers. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. Sorry, I haven't checked the yet. But here's the host cam. It's me. I'm the Old Humble guy. I'm wearing my Austin College hat. We are here in the shop. The camera is pointed generally towards where I want it to go. Let's see. What's it look like? That's not encouraging. Activate the camera. There it is. All right. So I need this moved roughly to, well, there's the outside. I need it moved roughly to right here-ish. Yeah, because I'm going to be going back and forth between this table and that place over there. And I might even move the camera up here above the table once I start doing the labeling. Maybe I should move the table a little bit closer. You can see outside. It's an absolutely beautiful day. Absolutely beautiful day. Let's see here. Move the table a little bit closer because I don't want to be going that far. I don't have a lot of bottles to do today. I'm bottling stuff up for a festival, so it's only going to be about 3 cases. Yeah, most of the work's going to be right there at that corner anyway. So let's kind of point it right there. Aim it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's great. That's great. That's fantastic. All right, folks, let's get cracking. So what are we doing today? We're making, we're bottling up double oak rye. It's already been made. There will be at least one quality check. I need to make sure that I've got good quality whiskey going into the bottles. I know it's not even noon. Calm down. I'm a professional. I am going to get some snackety snacks. I'm in the tasting room right now. I'm going to get some little snacky snacks so I can eat. The festival starts at 2:30. My load-in starts at 2:30. It is a paint and sip, and I want to have about 3 cases plus 4 bottles. So 4 tasters plus 3 cases on hand. I'm going to whip up a little cocktail mix of our old-fashioned, our watermelon old-fashioned cocktail. I'm going to whip up an old-fashioned, watermelon old-fashioned cocktail mix, or I'm just going to go with the Arnold Palmer. I'm not sure which one I want to do yet. I haven't decided. But that decision will eventually get made. All right, so these are the first bottles coming out, so there's going to be a lot of air in the system. Sunflowers is in the house. Cheers, Sunflowers. There's going to be a lot of air in the system as it gurgles that out. Then it's going to steadily settle down. The big issue right now is that I'm running low on corks. And my cork supplier is being slow in getting them to me because they had an issue with the problem with the corks on the last batch. They were failing at a prodigious rate. And this is how we do a quality check. Level off the bat levels a little bit. Perfect. I'm only going to do, like I said, I'm only going to do 3 cases plus 4 bottles. Perfect. All right, now that the air bubbles are out of the system, I really shouldn't have a problem with the air bubbles, with the levels on the bottles. It should be mostly solid. But look at the color on that rye. Look at that. Look at the color on that rye, nice and dark. Beautiful color. How am I, Sunflowers? I am well. I mean, I can't complain. Life is, you know, I am working my way through some volume issues, some let's see here. Can I set this up so that I can see? Yeah, we're working our way through some production issues, some general like logistical problems that crop up at the end of the year. But the end of the year also at the tasting room is a good time. We have an event coming tomorrow, or tonight, rather. It's festival season around. There's a lot of people doing their end of year festivals. I'm going to start attending a farmer's market once or twice a month. I think I can work it into my Thursday mornings. The farmer's market is at Thursday morning. Thursday morning. That's insane. Cheers. Oh, Lord. That's just a good rye. There's a nice quality flavor to it. It's got a richness to its flavor. I'm so happy that I decided to make this rye whiskey. Get my snacky snacks out so I can munchy munch on some snackety snacks. Because it is almost lunchtime. And like a hobbit, I do enjoy second breakfast. I just don't get to eat second breakfast. Because I usually call it lunch. And what we've got here are peanut butter filled pretzels. Mwah. Whoa. That is user error. It doesn't happen very often. That is probably the second time in 12 years I've ever done that. Oh well. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. Now I could dump all 4 of these bottles and start over. What I'm going to do instead is something remarkably dumber and sit here and try to balance them out like a dope. There we go. Those two are good. And these two are good. See, I was able to balance it out like a dope. Awesome. All right, so next time, learn my lesson. Make sure I have 4 bottles. And don't fuck it up. Cheers, Ed. Ed Guinea, welcome to the party, my man. Next week, I am going to do the $10 broadcast. I will give away merchandise. I have shot glasses that I'll give away for every new member or minimum $5 super chat or new member to the channel. So for every new member subscriber of at least $1.99 a month, and every super chat we get next week, with the goal being a $10 broadcast, I'm going to give away merch. So if you want shot glasses, T-shirts, excuse me, shot glasses, T-shirts, not boot bottles of whiskey, maybe a lamp. I might make a lamp. I used to have lamps. I forgot about that. I used to have lamps, and I sold them at a garage sale. And the woman came, and she bought the lamps, and she asked me if they were collector's items, and I told her that they were one-of-a-kind items. I said, you know what? Come to think of it, they're one of a kind. These are the only ones that have been made. I can't sell them for $25 for the pair. I gotta sell them for $50 for the pair. And she said, oh, I don't want to spend $50 on a couple of lamps. And the other guy who was right there behind her, he said, I'll spend $50 on the lamps. And he bought the lamps off me for $50. It was literally just 2 lamps. I'd forgotten about that. It was literally just 2 lamps that I had made from my bottles. I drilled the hole inside, run the electrics, run the guts through it. It was just, they looked good, don't get me wrong. They looked great. They were beautiful lamps. But it was a couple of empty whiskey bottles. Discontinued labels, empty whiskey bottles. I'm going to make some more of those. Those are pretty cool. But I've got a really busy morning. I've got to finish these 36 bottles. But they're almost done. 1, 2, the rest over here. And 4 more. Son of a bitch. I am not on my game today. God damn it. I am off. I'm trying to do too many things at once right now. That's what it is. So I just need to slow down. We're going to slow down. Just going to slow down. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels make you crazy. Lighten up while you still can. Something else to understand. There we go. Now, this will dry up pretty quick. It's 90 proof. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about the fact that I've wasted about a quarter of a bottle of whiskey. Paul Dunecat heading off to catch his meeting. Because he's a very important person. Can't not have a meeting. Gotta discuss the ramifications of upcoming tariffs and whatnots. Right? I mean, we could discuss the elephant in the room. That's, you know, red, white, and blue elephant shaped like a Republican icon. But I'm going to reserve the right to say I told you so later on. I have loved ones that could be truly hurt in the next 4 years. And I would rather not disclose my plans for preventing that to happen. But goddamn, 15 million people just didn't give a shit. That's something. That is something else. That's something else. There were signs early that there was a problem. There were signs early in districts where she was underperforming. But man, you could hear the worry in the commentators' voices too. When I got back from working the polls were cool. It was cool. There was a bunch of first-time voters at our polling booth, at our polling location. We had a great time. Great time working the polls. It was fun. It always is. I thoroughly enjoy being an election official, an election clerk. Son, we don't know that they have fucked up the country yet. But something's got to be said about the messaging. Something's got to be said about the messaging. I mean, I'm not one to blame the voters when they are the consumers of a product. You know, you don't blame the consumers like, oh, they just didn't buy the good stuff. Like, the producer, the marketer, didn't message it well enough. You can't blame the consumer for not buying your product. You got to blame yourself for not marketing it well. You know? I mean, if they've truly got the better idea, and I think they do, in a battle of ideas, they have better ideas. But the messaging of those ideas is important. It's extremely important. And it's not enough to simply say, this is kind of how it goes. It's kind of how it goes. They're like, we don't think that people should be allowed to marry cars. So we're going to pass a law banning people from marrying cars. Which is stupid, right? But then the other group says, that's stupid. Nobody's doing that. So we don't need a law to stop people from doing that because that's dumb. Plus, it's already illegal. And then the first group says, they don't want to protect our cars, our kids, from people who marry cars. Why are you opposed to person-person marriages? Why do you want people to marry cars? That's insanity. And then they're like, but people aren't marrying cars. So we're not going to support this stupid law to block people from marrying cars. And then they come out, the other people come out and say, hey, these people want people to marry cars. They want to force you to marry a car. And then now one side is anti-human car marriage that never happens. And then the other side is branded as pro-human car marriage, even though that's a thing that doesn't happen. Like, and then you ask people, well, who do you support? Well, like, I don't support people marrying cars. And you're like, okay, so that's good. Nobody does. Oh, no, that's not true. Ugh, fuck. And then you get into a really stupid conversation about how that's not happening. But you can't just go around and say, we're not the party of stupidity, because then the people who are stupid get insulted because they're stupid. And they're like, we're not calling you stupid, not you, necessarily, because you don't believe that shit, right? And they're like, well, we don't want people marrying cars. God damn it. Guess you are stupid. But it's not stupidity, necessarily. It's the susceptibility and willingness to believe nonsense. You know? Which is frustrating. Because how do you debate somebody who wants limits on the number of Sasquatches you can hunt, when the reality is we don't need a law limiting the number of Sasquatches you can hunt, because Sasquatches don't fucking exist. Like, how do you reach a group of people that don't participate in the same reality? Alien babies are invading. We don't have alien babies because aliens haven't made it to Earth, haven't they? Ancient civilizations 10,000 years ago, blah, blah. Ugh. Damn it. Oh, well. You can't blame the consumer. You got to blame the vendor. This is a competition of ideas. And if you can't get your idea out there and through the noise, it's not the consumer's fault. It's yours. Or maybe they're not curious enough. Too bad. Get them curious. Figure it out. That's literally their job. Figure this shit out. And we also got to come to the right real possibility that the idea of everybody having health care and not losing their house because they broke their leg or whatever is just not a good idea. Or maybe people should lose their house because they broke their leg. Health care isn't a right. Housing isn't a right. Voting isn't a right. The right to free expression, the right to self-expression and free association. Maybe these aren't cherished rights that belong in our Constitution after all. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? We got 4 years to hash this shit out. I'm a middle-aged white man. I am going to be fine. And if 20% of the voting population doesn't give a shit, then maybe I shouldn't either. Anyway, I need to order more corks. My cork vendor is being a butt and not responding to emails timely. I haven't heard from that son of a bitch since the beginning of October. And I need to send him a message because 2 of my final 40 corks failed again. That's not cool. That is uncool. They all act like this. That's not true. They don't all act like that. Some of them just don't care. And there are exit polls, but not really a lot of good data. And we're going to learn a lot over the next coming months of what actually happened. But a lot of it was economic messaging. A lot of it was the fact that she was a candidate for 110 days. And it is hard to run a campaign in 110 days against a guy who's been campaigning for a job for 10 years. With varying degrees of success. But he got damn near 300 electoral votes. And a majority of the popular vote. And he won all 7 swing states. All 7 battleground states. But he didn't add to his coalition. He didn't add votes. I mean, he won across all demographic levels, but only because she underperformed her predecessor. He didn't outperform himself from 4 years ago, or 8 years ago for that matter. He performed on par. She did not. 15 million voters stayed home. So 20% of the voting population. Is that right? No, about 10% of the voting population just didn't give a shit. They just didn't care. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I've had this little nagging cough. Ow. I understand what you're saying, Sunflowers. I will lose my health insurance if I will not be able to afford to maintain health insurance if Obamacare, the ACA, is repealed, because that is what provides that insurance for me right now, because I can't afford to get it through my wife's employer, because she is a public school teacher and the state of Texas does not provide benefits to teachers' families that are affordable. They provide benefits to teachers, but not their families that are affordable. But you can't, I mean, you can do it to an extent, but blame the voters. But the voter, it's not, I mean, what are they voting for? You know, it always comes down to what is the voter voting for. You can't just, you can't blame a dog for starving if you're not giving him any food. It's not the dog's fault he's starving. You haven't given him any damn food. Well, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Go out and vote for somebody who hasn't messaged to them? You want a bunch of guys to go vote for a party that embraces the idea that all guys are misogynist, patriarchal, bad guys, that they would rather go frolic with a bunch of fucking bears than hang around with the guys? I mean, maybe that's bad messaging in general for it's not Democratic Party messaging, obviously, but it's part of the ethos of the party. Down with the patriarchy, all this crap. And yeah, I'm down with that. But there's better ways to message it than what has happened over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, we all know crazy bitch ex-girlfriends. And if you don't know one personally, you know somebody who has a crazy bitch ex-girlfriend. But God forbid you actually say that out loud. Because then the girls are all like, "Oh, women are not crazy bitches. They're victims of men who rah, rah, rah." You know what? I would be fine if you frolicked with the fucking bears. Because at this stage of the game, they're not asking the bears to come save democracy, are they? Nope. But it's cool. Somehow, some way, the messengers have to connect with that 15 million those 15 million people that just didn't give a shit. That couldn't be bothered. Somehow they got to figure out a way. Because if you know somebody who's been naturalized as an American citizen, they're at risk. If you know somebody who's been who married an immigrant and so that they could have green cards and be citizens here in the United States, that person is at risk. If you know a family that's been living in the United States for any amount of time, and anyone in that family is an undocumented immigrant, then that family is about to get broken up. Although they're at risk of getting broken up. They're not about to, they're at risk. A bunch of things still need to happen. And Stephen Miller has said that they want to mobilize the National Guard to round up, his words, round up illegal immigrants. And if the Maryland National Guard won't do it in Maryland, then they'll call in the Virginia National Guard to do it in Maryland. That's some fucked up shit, man. And 15 million people couldn't be bothered to give a shit. And somehow, that messaging has to be fixed. Because that's something that people should give a shit about. Because those are people that build our houses, pick our crops, work in oil fields. In West Texas, they work in food processing plants. I mean, Juan's not coming into the emergency room and taking the job of the emergency room doctor. Fresh after passage through the Chihuahuan Desert. That'd be pretty funny, though. Comes in, just walks into the emergency room, puts on scrubs, goes, looks at him and says, that's a light bulb in his butt. Oh, Lord, 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 Lord. Interesting times we live in, kids. Interesting times. So the festival this afternoon is a sip and shop festival. And in their infinite wisdom, the organizers of this in the city of Humble have done it at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. Mind-boggling. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I'm not worried about the ones that didn't fact check and still showed up to vote. I'm worried about the ones that didn't bother, that couldn't be bothered. They're the ones that I mean, somehow they got to be reached. They couldn't be bothered to vote. That's a problem. But anyway, you get paired up with a business. You have your little cocktails. The business welcomes you in. People are supposed to come by and They have a little passport, show that they went to all the stores. There are prizes, there are awards, there are gifts to be had. It's a fun little time. It's a fun way to showcase small businesses inside of small towns. Usually it's done on a Saturday afternoon, like from 2 to 6, in the afternoon on a Saturday when people are out shopping. And then after 6 o'clock, there's a concert of some sort, or a dinner, or both. And then, it's late enough that people stay in that town overnight so the hotels get some business. They've been drinking, they had dinner, they spend the night, the hotels get all filled up for a night. But Humble decided to do it on a Friday at 3 p.m. Almost like they're saying, we want to have a festival, but we don't want a bunch of people to show up. And we want everybody to be done in time for church on Sunday. So we need to make sure they're gone and out by Friday night, Saturday noon at the latest. Because that's good for business. Why wouldn't you want to go to downtown Humble? Lord, Lord, Lord. But it is cool that they're finally trying to do stuff. Always want stuff happening. Is it raining? It is raining. Hot damn. I think it's raining. It sounds like it's raining. I intend to have fun. Sunflowers, I'm going to whip up a batch. I haven't decided yet. I'm either going to whip up a batch of Arnold Palmer's or watermelon old-fashioned mix. The watermelon old-fashioned mix can be drank by itself, but so can the Arnold Palmer's. My host business, I don't want to talk any shit about my host business. She seems like a lovely lady. I met her briefly yesterday. Her name is Dr. Polly. She is a homeopathic clinician. It's going to be a fun time. Very interesting. I'm going to learn a lot of neat stuff. Can't wait. They're expecting a couple hundred people. I think I'll be surprised if there's more than 100. Just because of the timing of the event, But it should be a good event all the same. Because they do have it paired up with a little concert and kind of a car show. It's called Music and Metal. I think that's what they call it, music and muscle. Kind of a muscle car show, and music. Over at the Green Oak Tavern, which is right around the corner. And tomorrow, well, I was going to bottle up some bourbon, but like I said, I've used my last corks. And as soon as I get off the live stream here, I'm going to make a couple of emails out to my supplier and see if I can't get some damn corks from this idiot. Because he's frustrating me. He's not an idiot. That's not fair. He's a new guy. He will get good at his, very, very good at communicating. I'll get better at communicating with him. We'll become better at communicating with each other. And hopefully I'll get some corks that aren't failing at the rate that this last batch was failing. Boom. All right. Not quite dry yet. Getting close, though. I am going to need to put on a clean shirt because this shirt smells like alcohol. Paul's back at the house. Meeting's over. Can I give you my thinking on rye and what? Rye and double oak versus straight. Tastes a lot like scotch to me as double wood. Well, okay, so my thought on it, excuse me, as I walk past the camera. My thought on it is that rye has a strong flavor by itself. And for my purposes, the double wood, the double oaking process that I use is simply putting extra oak staves in the barrel as it ages. Effectively doubling the amount of wood. Doubling the amount of wood that interacts with the rye. And giving it a richer, more balanced flavor. Because most of the ryes that I find on the market, especially the MGP ryes, are 2.5 years, young-ish. They taste youngish to me because rye by itself is a very high flavor grain, a high flavored whiskey. So by itself, you know, it's almost like garlic bread. You know, I liken that equivalency where if you accidentally spill the garlic salt when you're doing the garlic butter, or the garlic powder when you're doing the garlic butter, you have an unbalanced flavor. It's just too damn much. And then you got to come back with something else to balance that out. That is why that's why Massachusetts ryes exist. Massachusetts? Maryland. The Maryland ryes that are half rye, half corn. The Allegheny ryes, the Pennsylvania ryes, they were 100% rye, and they just tasted like too much. And then, you know, the people a little further south, they had a little bit more corn on hand, so they chose to balance out that flavor with a little bit of sweet. I personally don't like that. Because I don't think that the sweet is able to do its job effectively if it's just a 50% mash bill, and the rye isn't doing its job because it's just a 50% mash bill. So it's like neither one of them is doing their job particularly well, and there's a flavor that's missing out of that out of that combo. Bourbon makers fill that gap with malted barley, but malted barley is a neutral flavor that absorbs flavors from the outside, And the flavor that the malted barley absorbs in this particular case is the barrel itself. So you're not getting extra oak with a bourbon, but you are getting a grain which aggressively absorbs that flavor from the barrel in the barley. So you're getting a little bit more oak flavor to balance out that rye flavor that you get in a bourbon. But I digress. So for me, my thoughts on double oaking are, if you have a short amount of time, and every double process is a little bit different, but most double oaks actually take it out of the one barrel and put it into the other barrel. But I don't know if that really does anything. You know, 2.5 years with, and then 2.5 years in a fresh barrel, then 2.5 years in another fresh barrel. I don't know if that's actually more efficient than just leaving it in the fresh barrel for 5 years, but fine, whatever. I'm sure after a couple of years that barrel loses a little bit of its effectiveness. But you may be a little, I think you might be fair in your assessment that it kind of tastes like a scotch, because it kind of does. Because again, like I was saying with the malted barley, it's a neutral flavor. And a lot of scotches, they have that long age time, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years on the scotch. But they'll also put it in multiple barrels. They start with a used wine barrel or a used bourbon barrel. They'll switch from one barrel to a French oak barrel to a port barrel finish, or a, you know, whatever finishes that they use on their scotches, and it impacts it by giving it a tremendous amount of extra flavor instead of just this neutral, boring barley that soaked up a bunch of wood flavor from the cask. It's a neutral, boring barley that has soaked up 3 layers of different types of wood because they've used 3 different casks. In our case, with the rye is just bold. It comes in strong. Comes in hot, comes in strong, loud. And our double oaking process is intended not to mute that, but to balance it out and give it a firmer platform on which it can stand, so you get all of that heavy rye flavor, but it's balanced out with a heavy oak flavor, so that it's not just, you know, the tubas in the back blowing your lips, pinning your ears back and blowing your lips to the back of your head. It's also, move that away a little bit, it's also the rest of the orchestra, the rest of the band playing in unison, layering in flavor and texture so that you get multiple notes. And for our purposes, we do it in 2.5 years, almost 3 years. This last barrel here that I'm going to empty out is 3 years. Woodford does their rye in 7 years, but they don't double oak their rye. It's just in the barrel for 7 years. Our double oaking process is specifically intended to accelerate the aging, or give it an accelerated flavor profile. An accelerated aged flavor profile is the words I'm trying to get out of my face. So I want it to taste like a 7-year-old whiskey, but I just ain't got 7 years to spend making it taste that way. We had to get this stuff to market, and we had to get it to market within a year. And my way of doing that was or rather within 3 years. And my way of doing that was to take the process and accelerate it. Well, not accelerate it. Take the process and turbocharge it. Is that what I'm looking at? It's not accelerating because it was done in the amount of time that it needed to be done. It was augmented. There it is. Take the process and augment it. So it's everything that the rye is supposed to be in the amount of time that it takes for the rye to do it. Not in less time, not in more time, just the amount of time that it required. So nothing was accelerated, it was just augmented. And there we go. 36 bottles of rye, plus 4. And I was just monologuing there, so let me read the comments as I was monologuing. Usual Scotch is Springbank 10-year-old, which is an unpeated Campbellton. I think I pronounced that right. Unpeated Campbellton, and having it side by side with my double oak, they're very close according to your taste buds. Yeah, I get that a lot from Scotch drinkers, that rye and Scotch are very similar in profile. And you're not wrong. I mean, nobody's wrong when you're talking about your own personal taste preference or what you taste. You're never wrong when you talk about what you taste. So you're not going to catch me disagreeing with you. Oh, it tastes like Scotch. I don't disagree. They have similar, Scotch and rye have similar flavor profiles because of the way Scotch is born and the grains in Scotch. From my understanding, and I could be wrong, I am certainly not an expert on this. But as I was saying before, Scotch gets its flavor from the wood because barley is really, really a neutral flavor, like rice. Rice and barley have very similar flavors to get for each other. If you've ever had barley soup or barley wine, you know what I'm talking about. Barley's boring by itself. But you add that oak, you add add the woods, man, now you start getting some really cool stuff. That's why smoked Scotch is very good. It'll soak up that cherry wood smoke. It'll soak up that oaky smoke. It'll soak up that walnut smoke. It soaks up smoke really well. So I'm actually pretty impressed that you pulled those flavors out with my rye. But I tell people a lot when they come by and they're like, "Oh, I only drink Scotch." Oh, well then you're really going to enjoy this because this drinks like a Scotch. Come, try my whiskey. I mean, Jesus, it's free whiskey. The worst that could happen is you like it. I mean, you already think you won't, so. All right. 3 boxes of rye. Turn that off. That's sealed up. How long have I been going? What is this, about an hour? 12:09. I started, it's been about an hour. I started at 11:15. I'm going to go look at something real quick. I'll be right back. Calm down. Cool thing about a wireless microphone, as far as y'all know, I'm at the bar looking inside the refrigerator to see if there's supplies for tonight, knowing full well there aren't supplies tonight. but I could also be in the bathroom. I could be just about anywhere in the distillery because I got this wireless microphone. And I could just be walking around, looking at stuff, la-di-da-di. We like to potty. We don't cause trouble, and we don't bother nobody. We're just some men on a wireless mic. So, the bathroom's that way, and I came from that way. So you'll never really know where I was. Maybe I went out to my car. All right. We've solved the problems of the world today. We're all doing okay? Let's go over here to the picture-in-picture. We've solved the problems of the world. We're doing okay? This is terrible. Why? Why even have it like this? Let's see here. There. Now. Oh, my snacky snacks. Anyway, everything's going to be fine. Just need to up the level a bit. How about now? Is that better? I think that's what it was. It was, yeah. All right. So it's because the microphone was too far away. When the microphone's over here, you can't hear me. And when it's right here, I can feel it rubbing against my mouth. And I don't like it when things are rubbing against my mouth. It feels weird. Anyway. All right. So I basically got about 2 hours to whip up my cocktail. To whip up the cocktail mixture. Get everything together. Have my giveaway set up. My giveaway is going to be sign up for our newsletter, a chance to win a T-shirt and some whiskey stones. I got to make sure I've got my whiskey stones and T-shirt where they belong. Sample cups, check. Check. T-shirts, check. Whiskey stones, check. All right. I need I have a clipboard in here somewhere. At least I'm supposed to have a clipboard in here somewhere. Aha! A clipboard. Nope, that's not a clipboard. Somewhere I have a clipboard. I must be at the house. Well, I hope it's at the house. Because if it's not at the house, I don't know where it's at. Let's see here. One other place it might be. Isn't this great? Y'all can hear me exploring my own distillery as I wander around. Is it here? Is it there? Is it anywhere? Oh no. Where, oh where? Where, oh where? Oh where? Oh where, oh where is my stuff? I honest to God don't know where the hell this thing is. It is in none of the places where it should be, which means it is 100% located where it shouldn't be. And most of the places are where it shouldn't be, and I don't even know where to start looking. Ah, dang it. I mean, God's honest truth, if it's not where it should be, it could literally be anywhere. Oh, farts. Farts, farts, farts. Spirit glued to you. One of these days, That is literally going to happen. I'm going to wander off. I'm going to be in the middle of a live stream, not even thinking about it. I'm going to wander off looking for a thing, and then be all like, oh, yeah. And then y'all will 100% hear me peeing in the background. Toilet flush. I'll come back like nothing even happened, and everybody will be like, did he just pee? And then I'll be like, about that. Yes, I did. I did, in fact, just pee. All right. I'm going to have to go to the store and get a clipboard, I guess, unless it's at the house. I mean, I should probably have the actual whiskey, right? The actual whiskey zoomed in. My snacks. All right, kids. We're going to call this. There we go. That looks nice. Safety third. It's our motto. All right, folks. We're done. I'll be back in a week or so. We're going to do the $10 episode. Free stuff will be given away. Fun will be had. Continue to be awesome to each other. Until next time, cheers. Well, do I have a sign-off screen? Yeah.